In this drawing, I'm going to be creating a bit of a sinister jack-o'-lantern, um, like a evil pumpkin with a face. So I'm going to start with a large oval or circle shape, um, whatever you want. You can really vary this up to get different types of jack-o'-lanterns. And then I'm going to start dividing this into lobes. When you think of all the lines that are in a pumpkin, it's got those, I refer to them as lobes. So you got one that's like kind of in the middle, that's going to be kind of facing you, and then the other curves are going to be moving away. Right? And you might only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not that many. Then what I'll do is I'll use those lobes to change the outside shape of the pumpkin a little bit, right? So it gives it a little bit more, less overall rounded shape. You can see I'm kind of using that to carve in a little bit. Then I'm going to add a stem. What I'll do is draw a kind of parallel line, a couple of different shapes, give it a couple of different angles, but it's following the shape overall, getting a little bit thinner as it moves away. And then I'll add a couple of twists by drawing a curved line across the stem. All right, so it shows that turn of the stem. And you can add a little bit of striation in there, but that's like the stem. Some people even like to add a little bit of the vine still by drawing a bit of a chaotic line, and then you can make a parallel line going with that. You can even add a couple of loops in there if you like. Sometimes there's a little leaf or something like that on the stem. Now I'm going to start giving my jack-o'-lantern a face. I'm going to go a little bit more sinister. So I'm going to give it a pretty strong diagonal with a curve there, right? Bit of an under curve here. And this one, I have to think about the way that the jack-o'-lantern's turning. So as it's moving away from me, because there's a round object, this other eye might be slightly smaller, like it's getting kind of turned around. And then I'll sketch in my teeth. I'm going to give it a bit of a zigzag. So it's got some pretty jagged teeth there, and I'll come underneath that and follow that along with another jagged zigzag. Once you've got those in place, you can erase any of the lines that are falling inside the face. So I can get rid of the parts of the lobe that cross over the mouth or the eyes. Now I want to show that my pumpkin has a thickness, right? So this looks pretty mean already, but I want to show that his eyes have been carved out. So what I'm going to do is, it's pretty close to where the lobe would be, but I've got this side here. I'm going to draw a line that's parallel to the edge of the eye, and that is for the thickness of the pumpkin, like it's been carved in. Same thing on this other side. And when you're doing something like this, you have to think of which edge would I actually see from my viewpoint. Like I'm not going to see the inside edge here, and this is kind of turned up, but there have been different pumpkins I've drawn where I've been able to see two sides at once. Right? Like here, based on my viewpoint, I think I'm going to be able to see the inside of this tooth, some of these teeth. So I'm going to draw little flat lines coming in. Now this one is on the other side, so I can see that one going in. Here, I'm going to kind of find that space, and I'm going to draw a parallel line for the tooth, right? So this line goes here, that's going to go there, that's parallel. This goes here, I drew a line across, that's parallel. So that allows me to draw the thickness of the pumpkin's tooth. And then I can see the thickness of the inside of the mouth. I want to make sure I'm drawing this thickness about the same for all of them. So then you can really see that it's consistent, you know, it's a pretty thick gourd. All right. So at this point, I'm going to add some hatch marks to define some of the value. We haven't gotten too much into hatch marks in class, but you'll pick up on what they are pretty quickly. So if I've got a lot of extra lines, you might want to take a second to clean them up. I tend to draw pretty soft, so a lot of them are easy to remove, but anything you want to get out of the way that might kind of mess, I can do that. And then a hatch mark is just a series of strokes with the pencil kind of running together to build a value. And they can cross each other to create what's called a crosshatch. So I'm going to imagine that my pumpkin has a bit of a brow here. And I'm going to start drawing some hatch marks on the top of the brow to kind of give him that sinister furrowed look. I'm going to pull this curve out a little bit, give him more like almost like a little snout. And I'm going to place a couple of hatch marks in different areas where I want there to be shadow. So the bottom edges of the pumpkin, I'll place some hatch marks. I vary the length to follow the pumpkin itself. These do take a bit of practice. It's a pretty common illustrator technique. I'll just draw some short ones on the outside, give them an outside edge, draw some in the stem here, of course. You can use regular shading too if you're not feeling comfortable with the hatch marks. And just some regular, and smudge it up. And once I've got my sinister pumpkin, I can start to give a bit of a ground. Maybe there's a couple of rocks, some unearthed stuff, maybe a little bit of grass or some other things poking around. Start casting a little bit of a shadow behind them. Who knows? Maybe he's in a graveyard. Could be a sinister moon out there with a couple of long clouds falling across it. Maybe a bat or two. Any of the details you can add to create your space. Maybe it's on a porch, giving out candy. Yeah. But once you've got your pumpkin, you can start to develop any of the details. I might even draw a patch, having several of these faces, changing the shape of the pumpkin. So some are tall, some are wide. That really gives them different personalities and characters as well. So good luck drawing your jack-o'-lantern. Looking forward to seeing your results.